Has Kraven the Hunter footage been leaked? Damn, people are leaving this game left, right and centre, and paid intel compensation has mixed responses. Yes, hello everybody, RichTheMan here with your Friday edition of Marvel Contest of Champions news. It's so spicy that I'm in the jungle again, because this is a fun link. It's not. But it kind of is, because we're going to talk about Kraven the Hunter, and he's sort of in the jungle. Well, I don't know. Whatever he does. Man, I really don't know how to start a lot of my Marvel Contest of Champions news-based videos to be really exciting. Here's Mjolnir. See, there just like pops up there. How you doing, Mjolnir? I'm doing all right, thank you very much, Rich. See, I do puppetry and ventriloquism. See, I can't even speak about it. So let's just thank the members that I usually do. Thank you, members. Thank you, YouTube members. And also, thank you to patrons. Thank you very much, patrons. And as well, I thank you to Twitch subs. And as I usually said, if you've got Amazon Prime and you may be at home thinking, I got Amazon Prime, I'm going to give Rich a free Twitch sub. And that'd be great because I'll be live streaming tonight on Twitch. I'm doing the road to 1,000 followers. We're getting there. We've got about 170 more to go, so we'll get there. Follow the on-screen instructions. So I haven't been drinking. It's kind of like I need to speak properly. Follow the on-screen instructions, and then you'll be able to do it. But do you know other people that don't mess up their lines and mess up their words and speak normally and conjugate, use proper grammar? If that's really a thing, are you lovely people that support by coming back to each and every video, watching, hitting the like button, getting involved with the comment section? Thank you for those that do that and support the channel through that means as well. So thank you to everybody. There's lots of love. Now, one of the things that I was really looking forward to seeing, I know that sounds weird, but it's where we're up to when it comes to bug fixes or known issues. So the ones that are currently on the list. So one of them that is going to be resolved next update, there's an issue where the Science Doom bot sometimes applies debuffs to Ghost when she lands a critical hit. One thing under investigation is that kind of Morningstar interaction with Champion, which, to be honest, if Kabam are going to be drastically changing it, I don't know if there's any point. Or maybe there's kind of like the paths that lead up to it or no to lead up to it, but we'll see what happens with that. Something that is being resolved next update is an issue with Daredevil and Daredevil Classic sometimes miss attacks against Iron Man Infinity War. Also under investigation is Taskmaster doesn't reduce ability accuracy. Then you've got things we're resolving next update. There's an issue with the props, swords, wings, tentacles in some characters' animations are misaligned. Yep, definitely. That is surprising that wasn't going to be resolved sooner rather than later, but it is what it is. There's an issue where some nodes that target robots are affecting non-robot champions. Definitely needs to be resolved. And finally, fix an issue where the ability text for the Green Goblin in Abyss of Legends states that striking him with a critical hit reduces the opponent's attack rating by 0.9% for that attack rather than 65%. Obviously, there does seem to be a lot more bugs than this, and this kind of scratches the surface when it comes to like what Kabam should be addressing. And I don't know at times whether or not some of the stuff that we cover in Marvel Contest of Champions news and also the forum posts which are giving the level of feedback on known issues are taken as seriously to be put onto something like this, or whether or not there's something that can actually be resolved like just right there and then in a very quick fashion, as something I'm still yet to learn about you know, Kabam actioning off against stuff. You know, when it's been brought to the game team, yeah, I just obviously don't see it on this, so it's kind of difficult to know that has this actually been dealt with. Also, just quickly on the roadmap issue, obviously for a lot of people that were wanting this to be kind of like answered sooner than later, it's just a case that unfortunately we're not going to get an answer this week, and it's going to be next week. Obviously I did a video on this yesterday, but if you missed out, I'll put a link in the description to it. There was something kind of further to that I just wanted to pick up on, is that the way the Kabam were coming across was a lot of the stuff that they planned to do for the contest leading up to this point. They had to say they had to scrap it, but obviously that's a necessity. A lot of stuff that was made in the past, which I think Kabam thought that with the ticket situation and a few other things, bringing it to the forefront to deal with, that I don't think really represented the full changes that players really would require. So we're really waiting for next week, if I'm honest, based on this by Kabam Mixkebab, which you put on here on Twitter and as well on the forum. So roadmap next week, unfortunately. Okay, now let's move our attention to art. Now we like a nice bit of art on the channel, and as well checking out this here. So Newland's Theory has put together this here, which I think this is a digitally done piece. And like Tiger's there, Hitmonkey's there. And this was noted by Kraven Mike, and it just went onto the forums. But there's kind of this black and white version here, which to me looks like a variant comic book. So like I've got plenty of these like variant comic books lying around where they're like, you know, black and white, and they got one bit of color to it, as you can see here. But there's a color version to it, and I love the coloring. The coloring is done so well, as you can see here with Tiger in the background, Hitmonkey there. Just looks really great. Lots of happy words, positive words, and it is good to see these nice little bits of artwork being produced. So shout out to Newland's Theory on an amazing piece of art. Next up, I want to show you this. This is going to be me reacting to Kraven the Hunter, which you can see on screen at the moment. Now I've paused the screen here because I'm a little bit unsure about, like, obviously players are kind of like saying, oh, is this a case that this is leaked? It's not. I think somebody's created this as a kind of a thing. It's really well done. I know that people would say, well, there's inconsistencies with it. The arms are not proportioned correctly. But look, from a first standpoint of actually seeing this for the first time from somebody actually modeling on top of something, and obviously this is created through whatever, it could be a gaming engine or something, and it just looks really cool. But obviously you can tell there's a lot of things like, well, the hair is a piece from the likes of Doctor Strange. I don't know if the beard is taken from Mr. Fantastic. I don't know if the outfit is a little bit taken from Sabretooth, but it looks pretty cool for where it's made. It's just obviously there's some misproportioned stuff with it, but yeah, it's really cool to see somebody using their imagination to create some of this by whatever means that they've done. The clip is only a few seconds long, but can be found in the link in the description if you do want to check it out. Also, I just want to point out, yes, it's fake. Yes, I know it's fake, and everybody's confirmed it is fake. But the fact is, it's great to see someone's ingenuity to then go, right, let's take a game engine, let's create something on this and create something that looks similar, exactly like a Marvel or Kabam-like character. So yeah, shout out to Nick Koss, obviously the YouTube channel that this is. And I don't know if he created it or she created it or whoever created it. You know, check them out, link in the description. And I'd like to see more of this. Give it a go. Next up, and sort of going back to the scheme of artwork, I really like this piece that was put together. This is by Kabam, and it's got this kind of like weird vibe to it. Obviously, it tells a story of this month's event. Has this kind of like, well, like old-fashioned type, not samurai, but kind of like Japanese film type vibe to it, where you had like back in the day with like samurais and kind of like ancient Japan and Japan itself. Obviously this has created some kind of like narrative similar to that in a visual sense, and maybe even has got like a little John Wick style to it. Sticking with that kind of film vibe, and obviously getting the translation in, shout out to Mr. King 13, who says that the Japanese, or the kind of the symbols, are translated into the following: one ferocious hitman, one wild feline hero, and 10,000 bullets, enemies met, born to kill. Which does indeed give that kind of like old Japanese poster film vibe to it, which I really like. Obviously the reason I kind of like mentioned it in a way that, oh, you know, what the symbols can be translated is that I know that I think Cantonese and other kind of Eastern Asian countries actually have different pronunciations and translations for some of these, so it's always very interesting to find out what others translate certain things into, so it's kind of fun like that as well. Next up, and let's talk about Intel compensation. Obviously this went out a couple of days ago, but there's a little bit more to this that meets the eye. The way that it scales, how Kabam have valued it, that is obviously very important. The MCOC droid does saying that yes, thumbs up per our math conversation, looks like they're doing 60 coins for each Cavalier Intel deal you bought, 40 for each Grandmaster, so I'm guessing 20 for each regular Intel bundle. Obviously this compensation is based on if you bought any of the daily deals, and this is a daily deal correction, giving you access to more coins for the MODOK store, which as you can see, this breaks down to 440 in this case. There's been a very much mixed response when it comes to whether or not the compensation is apt for the extent of spend compared with what the Intel offered and what players were actually going to grab. with the situation of what they're getting back. In some cases, as I said, people aren't happy with that. Some are happy, some are not. With one player here saying, so $70 spent on Cavalier and Grandmaster deals for 7 straight days equals 700 coins. Very underwhelming. And this player saying, for the amount of gold coins I received, I would have preferred a refund instead. On the situation, it really boils down to what you feel is of value for what you've bought. And at the end of the day, a lot of these people were buying into the idea of grabbing extra intel in order to do more rifts, which, let's face it, compensation for the intel meant that everybody got 10,000 intel, and the people that bought, it was incredibly undervalued. So Kabam overcompensated in some ways to the community in the free-to-play light, but didn't obviously represent those when it came to the compensation and the kind of doing of rifts. Some people were even saying like they would prefer to done the rifts, or they prefer the money back from this. That is something obviously that you have to determine based on value of money, and I can't really comment on that. If you're free to play, I think you would find it difficult to comment on something when it comes to compensation of actually putting physical money into the game, and especially if you're buying for the purpose of grabbing something extra. But yeah, thoughts in the comment section if you did buy on this and what you would have liked to have seen back to you. Now on to the final story, and something that I did want to talk about and kind of scratched on a few videos yesterday, and that was players leaving the game. Friends, you know, co-players, community members. You know, this is the thing. Like, people leaving the game before was just like, okay, well, people were leaving the game. They're rage quitting or whatever, but now comes a point where people have like a losing faith for many reasons, and it could be down to so many different things, like the game becoming unfun in different areas, the roadmap not being answered, the summer's a big kind of like point for downtime when people just go like, do you know what, this game is just, it's too much of my time, and maybe they come back a bit more, or the the potential future of Marvel Contest of Champions. It's just been sad. It's sad to see people leave the game. Mixkebab has left the game, and as well Killer Beezy and that guy Devon in recent days as well. Obviously the reason that I'm deciding to mention this is because it's very important to kind of talk about your experiences, thoughts and processes when it comes to Marvel Contest of Champions. Enjoyment is very important. I'm going to spend a lot of time next week talking about how to deal with things like being alliance free, or kind of focusing on stuff like targets and keeping yourself focused, and also talking about the idea of burnout. But the one thing that I really liked about Killer Beezy's video is that it goes into a lot of the problems that come from being a YouTuber, a streamer, and also a member of the community. So when he talks about like being a streamer, is like the need and the want to stream Marvel Contest of Champions or cover videos and content on the game, and kind of like understanding that. But also, and the main thing is being part of the community, and obviously being part of the community is great, but when it comes to like the pitfalls and struggles of the quality of life, the grind, the excessive, like, you know, just eat of your time on a daily basis, is that's when you have to identify whether or not there is extreme fun still for the game, and as well, you know, whether or not Kabam are listening to players. Obviously, the main reason I wanted to mention these people is they're notable members in the community, and as well, they're people that I like, I've got on with, and they're friends, and it is sad to kind of see them leave the community, and I hope that, you know, they would want to come back at a later date, and then maybe obviously meet at things like New York Comic Con, UK meetups. And that's the thing, it'd be kind of sad to think that, you know, a year from now, have we ever had a UK meetup for MCOC, or is it a case that something's gone bad? You know, those are key things that we need to kind of focus on, and I really hope that by next week we get a better kind of like feeling and positive vibe for the community. I wish the best. Obviously, you know, Kabam have got a lot of work to do to kind of sort out a lot of problems that players experience, and I think mainly at the moment is quality of life. Grindy based games like this, I think, are kind of on the way out, so it needs to be a case of like refocus, repurpose, restructure, and get that positive vibe back to the community, which, let's face it, we had for a while, and then things just kind of went a little bit wonky donkey, if you know what I mean. But in any case, on that note, I'm gonna have a bit of a chilled weekend. We've got some content that's pre-recorded that we put out, and obviously the podcast will be recorded fresh. I'll see you on Monday for some fresh content, and check out some recent stuff up here, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.